Ever glance at your phone's GPS and think, whoa, this little thing is using Einstein's theories to get me to my destination?
Right.
Well, buckle up because today's deep dive is all about space-time.
Yeah,
And it's going to seriously upgrade your understanding of how the universe works.
it is.
You've given us a great episode of the Space-Time Chronicles podcast to work with.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So let's warp our minds.
Let's do it.
So
Yeah.
you're right to connect your phone to Einstein.
Yeah.
His theory of relativity really did change everything.
Yeah,
Before that, we thought of space and time as fixed, unchanging.
right.
Now we know they're woven together, this dynamic fabric we call space-time.
Absolutely.
So not just space, not just time, but this mind-bending combo that makes up the universe itself.
Exactly. And the podcast uses a helpful visual, that trampoline analogy.
Mm.
You put a bowling ball in the middle, it sags right. That's how mass warps space-time.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So the Earth isn't pulling me down with gravity. It's more like I'm sliding down a space-time curve the Earth itself created just by being massive.
That's a more accurate way to think about it.
Wow.
And it explains so much more than just why we stick to the ground. The podcast mentioned time dilation, for example. Clocks actually run slower the closer they are to a massive object.
Wait, seriously? So time isn't constant?
Oop,
It's
and
relative?
relative, exactly.
Wow.
And measurable.
Really?
Your phone is proof. GPS satellites have to adjust their clocks because they're further from Earth's mass and experience time slightly faster.
So my phone is getting a tiny taste of time travel every day, experiencing time slightly differently than someone standing next to me. That's wild. But if the GPS didn't adjust for that, what would happen?
Chaos.
Hmm.
Your directions would be way off, distances miscalculated, all because we didn't account for the flexibility of time itself.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. So it's not just where you are in space, but how close you are to massive objects that actually changes how fast time flows for you. What other cosmic consequences does this have? This is giving me serious interstellar vibes. Remember that scene where they land on the planet near the black hole and time gets all wonky?
Yeah.
The podcast mentioned that too.
Great example. And while Interstellar takes some liberties at its core, it's playing with this idea of different space-time paths. It's like instead of just driving down a straight road, you're navigating a cosmic highway with twists, turns, even potential shortcuts.
So the twins in that classic paradox one blasts off in a spaceship ages slower. It's not just about speed, it's about taking a different route through space-time itself.
Exactly. If you imagine the entire universe as this grand cosmic quilt, another image from the podcast, every object from a planet to a person is like a button sewn onto it, creating these subtle dips and curves.
Okay, so we're all connected by this invisible, constantly shifting fabric of space-time.
Yeah, and that raises a pretty profound question.
What's that?
If space-time is so flexible, so influenced by everything in it, what does that say about the universe itself? It's not just a static stage, right? It's more like
A never-ending dance party where every move matters.
Exactly. And if it's constantly changing, what role do we play in shaping it? Even with our seemingly insignificant mass compared to, say, a black hole.
You're saying even our everyday actions could be creating ripples in the fabric of the universe, kind of like the butterfly effect, but on a cosmic scale.
It's a fascinating concept to consider, isn't it?
Yeah.
We usually think of ourselves as separate from the universe, but what if we're more intertwined with it than we ever imagined?
So every time I move, every time I even breathe, I'm technically creating a tiny warp in space-time.
Yeah.
That's both terrifying and kind of beautiful.
It speaks to how much we still don't know about the universe and our place within it. And it takes what seems like a theoretical physics concept and makes it incredibly personal, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like realizing you've always had this incredible power, this ability to influence something so vast and mysterious.
What's fascinating here is that even light, which has no mass, bends when passing a massive object. Like that famous experiment during the solar eclipse that proved Einstein right light bending around the sun.
Right. So if something as seemingly insignificant as light can bend space-time, could our everyday actions, however small, be creating ripples in the fabric of the universe too?
Now that's a thought.
It's like I knew space-time was supposed to be this flexible, mind-bending thing.
Right.
But to think I have a tiny part in that,
Yeah.
it's kind of awe-inspiring.
It really makes you appreciate the interconnectedness of everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that quote, "We are all stardust," but on a whole other level. We're not just made of the universe. We're actively shaping it with every step we take, every choice we make.
So it's not just massive objects like stars and black holes calling the shots in the universe.
Right.
Even something as small as, say, a butterfly flapping its wings.
Could theoretically cause ripples in space-time that eventually lead to a hurricane on the other side of the planet.
Whoa.
A captivating thought experiment, isn't it? And while it might be impossible to prove definitively, it challenges us to think differently about our place in the grand scheme of things.
It makes you wonder, right? If we could somehow see space-time, would it look like this turbulent sea of energy with these massive waves from black holes and stars and then all these tiny ripples coming from
Now
us?
there's a visual. And imagine if we could understand the language of those ripples, decipher the messages encoded within the fabric of space-time itself.
Okay, now my mind is really blown. This went from GPS signals to the potential for, like, cosmic sign language.
That's the beauty of exploring these concepts, isn't it? Every answer leads to more questions, deeper levels of wonder.
Well, on that note, I think I need a moment to process all of this. Big thanks to you and to our listener for diving into the incredible world of space-time with us. Remember, it's not just what's up there in the cosmos, it's how we're all connected, warping and rippling our way through this incredible flexible universe together.